Hey there. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jennifer Wood, and I'm a certified Tiny Habits coach for women in business. My goal really is to help women that have seen success in their professional life find that same sense of success and personal fulfillment in their everyday personal lives. So today we're going to be talking about how to make yourself a priority. This is something that I think most women struggle with. So let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever created these scenarios, I call them scripts, for things that haven't even happened yet? So worst case scenarios a lot of the times, or anticipating an argument and what you're going to say. Have you found yourself continuously fighting small types of fights with people, and sometimes you feel like you're just fighting with everybody because you feel like you've been wronged or they have done something to offend or upset you, and it's taking up a lot of your time? And then do you also try to please others so much and you feel like you're doing so much of that that you've lost focus on yourself? If any of these have ever been true or are true currently, then I believe this training is going to help you today. In this video, we're going to cover three main topics. The first is the levels of energy that we bring to given situations. The second is how to stop fighting small fights and really keep those fights for fighting for yourself, for your dreams, your vision, your goals, the things that are truly important. And finally, last but certainly not least, how to refocus on you. So let's start with part one, the levels of energy. There are 7 main levels of energy, and this isn't a woo-woo concept. It's what you bring to situations and your thoughts around those situations, how those thoughts create feelings within you, and what you do as a result of those feelings that give you results. So many times we are operating from 1, 2, or 3. So level 1 is really the victim level. We feel like we are being taken advantage of or somebody has wronged us in some way. And instead of getting angry, we are instead playing the victim. And so what that leads to is this feeling of apathy, and it really results in low energy, physical energy, feeling lethargic, feeling stuck, and feeling hopeless, and that you have no control over what is happening to you. In level number 2, we switch to conflict. Now, sometimes people go from victim to conflict. So they start by feeling really bad and that they're being unfairly treated, and then they get angry. And that's where we've got thoughts around conflict. We have feelings of anger, and sometimes we keep that anger inside and then finally we blow. Other times we let it out quickly. And the result for that is defiance. It's going to be a you lose situation. And we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that that other person pays for what it is that they're doing. Then we start getting into some more of the anabolic energies. So anabolic are the energies that kind of build us up. So in level number 3, we talk about responsibility. So we're looking at things from, okay, how can we all come together and both of us win? And so feelings of forgiveness tend to come in, and that results in more cooperation. Level 4, we start to feel concerned for the other person. We put ourselves in their shoes. Sometimes this can actually be a tear down energy, but for the most part, it's a building up energy. It's a way to get back on track with relationships. But a key thing here is that we very rarely use level 4 energy on ourselves. Having that compassionate feeling for ourselves, do things in service for ourselves. A lot of times that's termed self-care. And then you move into energy level number 5. So that's reconciliation. And it's a feeling of peace that comes over you when you are accepting people for exactly who they are. That doesn't mean, though, that you need to put up with bad behavior. This is where boundaries come in, but more on that in another video. But this really does give you that sense of peace. So getting into levels 5, 6, and 7 are elevated levels of energy. You cannot stay there all the time because none of us are perfect. But when you find yourself in levels 1, 2, or even sometimes 3, try to get back into levels 4, 5, and 6. Level 4, really focusing on you and how you can have concern and compassion for you and do things in service of you, which is not selfish, by the way. When we get into level number 6, this is where we've got synthesis, meaning that we are working in harmony with ourselves and with others. So we've got feelings of joy that come from that. Again, you can't stay in level 6 all the time, but it is a good level of energy to pursue if you want to have that sense of joy, contentment, and it results in wisdom. You learn things about yourself, you learn things about other people and the world around you. And then finally, level 7. So this is when you are in your creative flow, you're in your element. So you are just feeling great about everything. You're not judging anything harshly, good or bad. You've got absolute passion about what you're doing. So whether that's in your job or you've got a hobby, and that results in creating something. So again, you can't stay there all the time, but for those of you that want to have more creativity in your life, in your work, this is the level that you're going to want to get to sometimes during the week. And so you have to bring your best energy to it. All right, let's talk about our second part in this video, which is to stop fighting small. So when I say fighting small, I'm talking about spending your energy really on things that they're not going to get you closer to your goals. You're not really going to feel that much better if that other person says, oh my gosh, I was so sorry for what I've done, especially if they're not somebody that you feel is going to change their behavior. It's just kind of words to pacify you in the moment. And so I really, really love this poem. I wish I knew the author, but unfortunately, so many different people are credited with it that that's why I've got author unknown. So I would recommend printing this out and keeping it with you because it really is a great reminder of that level of energy that you may be bringing to something that is not going to get you closer to your goals. So I once asked a very successful woman to share her secret with me. She smiled and said to me, I started succeeding when I started leaving small fights for small fighters. I stopped fighting those who gossiped about me. I stopped fighting with my in-laws. I stopped fighting for attention. I stopped fighting to meet people's expectation of me. I stopped fighting for my rights with inconsiderate people. I stopped fighting to please everyone. I stopped fighting to prove they were wrong about me. I left such fights for those who have nothing else to fight. And I started fighting for my vision, my dreams, my ideas, and my destiny. The day I gave up on small fights is the day I started becoming successful and so much more content. Some fights are not worth your time. Choose what you fight for wisely. And finally, part 3 is about focusing on you. So there's 3 habits that I'm going to give you today that will help with this. The first one I actually mentioned in my last video, and it's the high 5 habit. Mel Robbins has a book on this if you want to delve further into it. I've been doing this now for about a month, and I have to say, it really has changed the way I've looked at things. It feels a little silly at first until you really start to understand the concept behind it, which is about having your own back. We protect our loved ones. We're fierce female fighters for our friends. But when it comes to ourselves, a lot of times we don't have our own back. And that's when we let other people take advantage of us or treat us poorly. So what you do is first thing in the morning, you look in the mirror and you high five yourself. And you say, or you think, I've got you. And then smile, because remember, celebration is really a big part of habit building. So this habit is going to remind you that you've got your own back. The second one is to make yourself the priority of the day. Listen, I know that we all have so many things going on in our day, and it's hard to prioritize ourselves when everybody else is clamoring for our attention, but you really cannot fill from an empty cup. So the key to this is to find the time where you have your best energy. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about the levels of energy that we covered earlier. I'm talking about physical energy, like you feel ready for the day and you're feeling physically energetic. And that's really a great time to focus on something that's going to bring you closer to your most important goals. Now, you don't have to do it for hours on end. If you only have 5 minutes, hey, that's having your own back. So make sure, though, that you're making yourself the priority of the day. And then finally, the third habit, when you have the urge to fight, pause. Practice the art of the pause. So do not react, instead respond. The difference between that happens in the magic of the pause. So take a deep breath. Think about the energy that you're bringing to this fight. It's not going to be helpful for your goals. Pause and ask yourself if you're being a small fighter. And if you've got the time, read that quote on slide 7 that I covered with you, if possible. Keep it with you. And even if you can't read it in the moment, maybe later that day, read through it. It helps to give you perspective on what it is that you're doing. So I hope these 3 help you get back to yourself and give you a sense of fulfillment and change the energy that you're bringing to your life. Till next week.